Gwyn, Lord of Sunlight, is one of the most powerful and important figures in Dark Souls. Long ago, the world was gray, cold, and unchanging. Everything was ruled by immortal dragons, and there was no real life or death, just endless stillness. That changed when the first flame appeared, bringing heat, light, and life into the world. Gwyn found one of the powerful Lord Souls within the flame and used it to become incredibly powerful. With his army and his lightning powers, he led a war against the dragons and helped bring about a new era called the Age of Fire. Gwyn ruled from the city of Anor Lundo, the shining capital of the gods. He was seen as a symbol of light, strength, and order. He had powerful children like Guinevere and Gwendolyn, and people across the land worshipped him. But over time, the first flame began to fade, and Gwyn feared what came next, the Age of Dark, when humans would rise and the gods might fall. To stop that from happening, Gwyn made a huge sacrifice. He linked himself to the dying flame, burning away his soul to keep the fire alive. This act didn't solve the problem. It started a painful cycle. Over and over, someone has to give up their life to keep the flame burning. It traps the world in a loop that never ends. When the player finally meets Gwyn, he's no longer a mighty god. He's a hollow, burned-out figure, driven only by instinct. He's a tragic example of someone who held on to power for too long, afraid of change. In the end, the player must choose. Continue Gwyn's cycle or break it and let the world move forward. The Old One is the mysterious and powerful force at the center of Demon Souls. It isn't a god in the traditional sense. It doesn't speak clearly, rule a kingdom, or show emotion. Instead, it's more like a being that's ancient, massive, and deeply connected to the soul energy that powers the world. Long ago, people discovered how to use soul arts, magical powers that came from human souls. This led to great progress, but it also had a dangerous cost. Using souls for power awakened the Old One from its deep sleep. Though it was sealed away, King Alent revived the forbidden arts, awakening the Old One once more. The Old One brought with it a thick, colorless fog and released powerful demons into the world. These demons feed on human souls, growing stronger while driving people mad or turning them into monsters. In the kingdom of Boletaria, King Alent made things worse by using soul arts to gain power. His actions fully awakened the Old One and caused the fog to spread across the land, cutting it off from the rest of the world. People are terrified, and only a few warriors dare to enter the fog and fight back against the demons. The Old One doesn't speak, but it clearly wants one thing: more souls. King Alent believed the Old One offered peace through oblivion, an end to suffering, but also an end to everything. It represents the danger of too much ambition and the hunger for power. At the end of the game, the player must choose. Put the Old One back to sleep and save the world, or join with it and let the world fall into eternal stillness. The Old One is more than a final boss. It's a symbol of destruction, temptation, and the dark side of power. The Moon Presence is a powerful being at the heart of Bloodborne. It is one of the Great Ones, ancient alien entities that exist beyond the human world. The Moon Presence is not just a monster, it's more like a cosmic force, watching and influencing events from behind the scenes. The Healing Church, a powerful group in the city of Yharnam, used the blood of the Great Ones in their experiments. They believed this blood could cure diseases and even bring people closer to godhood. But using the blood came at a cost. It caused madness, transformation, and nightmares. Over time, the city fell into chaos, full of beasts and horrors. To deal with this, the Moon Presence created the Hunter's Dream, a strange realm outside of time. It used a man named Gehrman, the first hunter, as its servant, and began guiding the new hunters to fight the beast and cleanse the city. The Moon Presence doesn't do this to save people. It does it to control the nightmares and keep things going according to its will. The player, known as the Hunter, is brought into the dream and used by the Moon Presence to keep the hunt going. But if the player gains enough knowledge, called insight, and defies the Great Ones, they can eventually face the Moon Presence itself in the final battle. If the Hunter wins, they can either take Gehrman's place as the Moon Presence's new servant, or, if they prepared correctly, they can resist its control completely and become a new Great One themselves. The Moon Presence represents manipulation, control, and the price of seeking power in a world shaped by unknowable forces. Ebrietas, daughter of the cosmos, is one of the most tragic beings in Bloodborne. She is a Great One, an ancient alien creature that exists far beyond human understanding. Unlike many other Great Ones, Ebrietas isn't a god that came from the stars. She was left behind. Long ago, a group known as the Healing Church discovered the ruins of an ancient civilization called the Tumerians, deep beneath the city of Yharnam. In these hidden tombs, they found Ebrietas. Instead of fearing her, the church believed she was a way to connect with the gods. They began worshipping her and used her blood in their experiments to try and evolve humanity. But using the blood had terrible effects. People began to lose their minds, mutate into beasts, and fall into madness. The church tried to keep this a secret, but the damage was done. Despite the chaos, they continue to believe Ebrietas could help them achieve ascension, turning humans into higher beings like the Great Ones. Ebrietas herself doesn't speak or act like a villain. In fact, she seems sad and alone, quietly waiting in the upper cathedral ward, surrounded by failed experiments and lost worshippers. When the hunter finds her, she attacks, not out of evil, but possibly out of fear or sorrow. She may be the last of her kind in the world. Ebrietas represents the dangers of blind faith and obsession with forbidden knowledge. The Healing Church saw her as a path to greatness, but their worship only brought suffering. She isn't evil, she's a lonely cosmic being trapped in a world that doesn't understand her. Kos is one of the most mysterious and important Great Ones in Bloodborne, even though she's already dead by the time the player learns about her. Kos plays a key role in the Old Hunters DLC, which reveals some of the darkest secrets behind Yharnam and the Healing Church. Long ago, a group of scholars from Bergenworth discovered Kos, a Great One, washed up on the shores of a small fishing village. Instead of respecting or fearing her, they began experimenting on her and the people of the village. They believed that studying a Great One could help them unlock the secrets of evolution and ascension, to become like the gods themselves. These experiments were cruel and inhumane. The villagers were tortured and turned into monsters, and Kos, who may have come in peace, died. But her death was not the end. It created the Hunter's Nightmare, a twisted dream world where the sins of the past replay endlessly. In this nightmare, Kos's child, sometimes called the Orphan of Kos, is left behind, in complete pain and rage. The player eventually finds and fights the Orphan, one of the most brutal bosses in the game. Only after defeating it can Kos finally let go, and the nightmare ends. Kos represents the consequence of human arrogance and cruelty. She was a being beyond understanding, yet humans treated her as an object. Her story is one of sorrow and revenge, not because she acted out of hatred, but because humans brought pain to her and her child. Kos is not just a boss or a background figure. She is a symbol of guilt, cosmic justice, and the dangers of seeking power without compassion. The Greater Will is one of the most important forces in Elden Ring. It is not a person, but an outer god, a powerful, invisible force from beyond the world. The Greater Will doesn't speak directly, but its influence is seen everywhere in the lands between. Long ago, the Greater Will sent a strange object called the Elden Beast to the world. This creature carried the Elden Ring, a powerful symbol of law and order. With it, the Greater Will created the Golden Order, a system of rules that shape life, death, time, and nature itself. To carry out its will, the Greater Will chose Queen Marika as its servant, or vessel. Under the Greater Will's control, the lands between entered a golden age. But that peace didn't last. Marika eventually shattered the Elden Ring, which caused chaos and war. The Greater Will, angry at her betrayal, turned away from the lands between, leaving it in ruins. Even though the Greater Will is silent, its followers, like the Two Fingers and many of the game's bosses, continue to push its beliefs. They want someone to become the Elden Lord, fix the ring, and restore the Golden Order. As the Tarnished, the player can follow the Greater Will's path and become Elden Lord, or reject it completely. There are other outer gods with their own ideas of how the world should be, like the Frenzied Flame or Ranni's Dark Moon. The Greater Will represents control, order, and divine law, but also manipulation and the cost of blind obedience. It offers peace, but only on its own terms. In the end, the player must choose, restore its order or break free from it entirely. The Frenzied Flame is one of the most dangerous outer gods in Elden Ring. While the Greater Will wants order and control, the Frenzied Flame wants the opposite. It wants to burn everything down, ending all pain, suffering, and even life itself. This outer god is connected to chaos and madness. Its power is spread by the Three Fingers, a strange, burning being hidden deep beneath the city of Lindale. Unlike the Two Fingers, who serve the Greater Will, the Three Fingers offer a darker path. They don't want to fix the world, they want to erase it completely. People touched by the Frenzied Flame lose their minds. Their eyes glow yellow, and they're filled with rage and sorrow. Many believe that the flame's power is fueled by the pain of the world. It hears the cries of the broken and promises them a final, fiery escape. As the Tarnished, the player can choose to follow the Frenzied Flame. If they do, they become the Lord of Chaos, burning the world into ash and rejecting all the gods, laws, and cycles. It's the most extreme ending in the game, one that offers freedom but total destruction. But this path comes with a price. Once embraced, the Frenzied Flame represents chaos, suffering, and the desire to end everything rather than keep living in a broken world. It's not evil in the usual sense, it's more like a desperate scream from those who have lost all hope. In the end, it's up to the player to decide. Destroy the world to escape suffering, or try to rebuild it. Queen Marika the Eternal is one of the most important characters in Elden Ring. She is a godlike ruler chosen by the Greater Will, a powerful outer god that created the Golden Order. Marika was chosen to be the vessel for the Elden Ring, a magical symbol of law, life, and the power in the lands between. At first, Marika seemed to support the Greater Will's plans. Under her rule, the lands between became a golden empire. She removed death from the world by sealing away destined death, making her people nearly immortal. But over time, Marika started to question the Greater Will's control. She secretly became more rebellious. She allowed her children, like Melania and Mog, to be born from forbidden outer gods. She also shattered the Elden Ring, breaking the Golden Order and causing a massive war called the Shattering. This act sent the lands between into chaos. Marika has a strange connection to Radagon, a male figure who is actually another side of herself. As Radagon, she continued to act as Elden Lord while hiding her true identity. Together, Marika and Radagon are both one being and two people. After breaking the ring, Marika was punished and imprisoned inside the Erd Tree, where she remains frozen during the events of the game. Many people and gods fight to claim her throne and reshape the world. Marika is not purely good or evil, she's a complex figure who tried to change the world, even if it meant risking everything. She represents rebellion, divine power, and the struggle between freedom and control. By the end of the game, the player decides what happens to her legacy, to follow her path, reject it, or build something entirely new. Ranni the Witch is one of the most important characters in Elden Ring. She is a demigod, the daughter of Radagon and Rennala, and was born with a special destiny as an Empyrean, someone who could become a god and replace Queen Marika. But Ranni didn't want to be a puppet of the Greater Will, the powerful outer god that controls the Golden Order. Instead, she chose to rebel. She stole a piece of destined death, the power to kill even gods, and used it to destroy her own body. By doing this, she escaped the Greater Will's control and became a spirit, bound to a doll that looks like her former self. Ranni works in secret throughout the game. She's calm, distant, and clever. She opposes the Golden Order and the other outer gods who fight to control the world. Her goal is to bring about a new age, guided by the cold, distant light of the stars and the dark moon, a realm far beyond the reach of the Erd Tree and the Greater Will. If the player chooses to follow Ranni's path, she becomes an ally. Together, you defeat the Greater Will's champions and uncover hidden truths about the world. In the Age of Stars ending, Ranni takes the Tarnished as her consort and leads the world into a new era of mystery, freedom, and cosmic wonder, far from the influence of any god. Ranni doesn't want to rule through power, she wants to guide the world beyond the reach of the gods. The Divine Dragon is one of the most powerful beings in Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. It lives far away in the magical realm of the Divine Realm, and it's the source of the dragon's heritage, a mystical power that gives people the ability to resurrect after death. Long ago, the Divine Dragon came from a distant western land and took root in Ashina, bringing all of its powers with it. That power flows through the dragon's blood, which is passed down to special people like Kiro, the Divine Heir. Kiro's blood is what gives the main character, Wolf, his ability to come back to life. But the dragon's power is not a blessing without cost. It creates a sickness called dragon rot, which spreads when people close to the resurrected warrior suffer the toll of death too many times. Even though it grants life, it also brings pain and decay to the world. Later in the game, Wolf travels to the Divine Realm to find the Divine Dragon's Tears, which are needed to help find Kiro and the Curse of Immortality. There, he faces the Divine Dragon in a beautiful but dangerous battle. The dragon doesn't seem evil, in fact, it's calm and regal, but it still defends its power. Once defeated, the Divine Dragon leaves behind its tears, which are used in one of the possible endings to cut off immortality and allow the world to return to a natural cycle of life and death. The Divine Dragon represents purity, life, and the danger of eternal power. It isn't cruel, but its gift of immortality causes suffering. In the end, the game asks whether power like that should even exist, or whether it's better to let life unfold naturally. Gravelord Nito is one of the original lords in Dark Souls, and he is known as the First of the Dead. He was one of the first beings to find a Lord Soul within the First Flame, and his soul gave him power over death, disease, and decay. When the Age of Fire began, Nito joined Gwyn and the other lords in the war against the immortal dragons. While Gwyn used lightning and the Witch of Izalith used fire, Nito spread plagues and death, weakening the dragons from within. After their victory, Nito became a godlike figure, ruling over death itself from a dark tomb deep beneath the land called the Tomb of the Giants. Nito is not evil in the usual way. He doesn't want power or worship. He simply represents the natural force of death. He commands skeletons and spirits, and his presence brings silence and rot. Many fear him, but some worship him, forming a cult called the Gravelord Servants who spread curses to other worlds in his name. By the time the player meets Nito, he has grown quiet and passive. He rests in his tomb, surrounded by bones and loyal undead. But because he holds part of the original power from the first flame, the player must defeat him to succeed in their quest. Nito's design, a towering mass of skeletons with a black cloak and a giant sword, shows his role as both a god and a symbol of death itself. He isn't a villain, but rather a force of nature in a dying world. Gravelord Nito represents decay, rest, and the inevitability of death, reminding us that even in a world of gods, nothing lives forever. Manus, Father of the Abyss, is one of the most important figures in Dark Souls lore, especially in the Artorias of the Abyss DLC. He is believed to be the furtive pygmy, the mysterious being who first found the Dark Soul when the first flame appeared. Unlike the other lords who ruled with fire, Manus held power of darkness and humanity. Over time, Manus was forgotten by the world, and something caused his soul to go wild with rage and sorrow. He transformed into a monstrous being and created the Abyss, a dark, spreading void that consumes everything it touches. The Abyss is not just darkness, it's twisted, chaotic, and full of corrupted souls. Manus' anger and grief were so powerful that he pulled the entire city of Ulasil into the Abyss. The people there went mad, turning into monsters. Even Knight Artorias, one of the greatest heroes of the Age of Fire, failed to stop Manus and was swallowed by the darkness. The player, known as the Chosen Undead, travels back in time through the DLC to stop Manus and save Ulasil. During the final battle, Manus uses shadowy magic and wild beast-like movements. He also tries to grab something. Many believe he is reaching for a pendant or for a lost loved one, showing that even in his monstrous form, there's pain behind his rage. Manus represents the dark side of humanity, fear, pain, and the loss of control. He is not just a villain, but a tragic figure whose power was misunderstood and left to rot. He is the source of Abyss and the origin of many evils in the Dark Souls world, but he also reminds us that even monsters can come from suffering. The God of Scarlet Rot is a powerful and terrifying outer god in Elden Ring. Like the Greater Will in the Frenzied Flame, it exists beyond the world and influences from afar. But unlike those gods, the God of Scarlet Rot is more mysterious. We never hear or see it directly. We only know it through its effects: decay, disease, and endless rot. The God of Rot is connected to Malenia, one of the most powerful characters in the game. Malenia was born with the Scarlet Rot inside of her, which slowly ate away at her body. No one could cure it. She was raised as a warrior, and although she became incredibly strong, she was always battling with the rot inside her. The God of Rot used her as its champion, whether she wanted it or not. During the war known as the Shattering, Malenia fought Oedon, another demigod. When she was nearly defeated, she gave in to the power of the Scarlet Rot and blossomed into a goddess-like form. This destroyed everything around her, including Oedon, and left the region of Gilead in ruins. The Scarlet Rot isn't just poison, it's a divine infection, a force that slowly destroys everything. It turns people and places into mushy, decayed versions of themselves, even the land that becomes lifeless and red. The God of Scarlet Rot represents suffering, corruption, and unstoppable decay. It doesn't care about rules or order, it just spreads. It shows that even the strongest can fall to disease, and not all gods can offer salvation. Though it never appears directly, the God of Rot's influence is felt deeply through Malenia, and through every scarlet bloom that marks her territory. Oedon is one of the most mysterious Great Ones in Bloodborne. Unlike the others like Ebrietas or Kos, Oedon has no physical form. He's a formless Great One, meaning he cannot be seen, touched, or truly understood. But despite never appearing directly, Oedon's purpose is felt everywhere in the game. Oedon is closely tied to blood, which is the most important substance in the world of Bloodborne. His power is said to live in the blood itself, especially the blood used by the Healing Church. This blood can heal wounds, grant strength, and even connect people to the Great Ones, but it also causes madness and monstrous transformations over time. There are clues throughout the game that Oedon may be one of the first Great Ones to influence Yharnam. Many of the city's worst problems, including blood addiction and the spread of the Beast Plague, seem to begin with the Healing Church's obsession with Oedon's blood. Even though he has no body, Oedon still has a voice. People pray to him in places like the Chapel of Oedon, and one of the game's most disturbing side stories, involving Ariana giving birth to a child of blood, may be tied to him. Oedon represents invisible influence, corruption, and power without form. He doesn't speak or fight, but he may be one of the most important forces behind the horror in Bloodborne. He never forces people to follow him, yet his blood spreads, changes, and consumes everything it touches. In a world obsessed with healing, Oedon shows how even miracles can hide dark truths. He is the unseen god of blood, always present, even if no one truly sees him. Seath the Scaleless is one of the most famous and tragic figures in Dark Souls. He is a dragon, but unlike the ancient everlasting dragons, he was born without scales, which made him vulnerable. In a world where immortality came from stone scales, Seath was considered weak and different. Because of this, Seath betrayed his own kind during the war between the dragons and the lords. He joined Gwyn and helped destroy the dragons by using powerful crystal magic. As a reward, Gwyn gave him the title of Duke and a place of honor in Anor Londo. But Seath's story didn't end there. Obsessed with finding immortality, Seath began performing cruel experiments. Deep in his Duke's archives, he studied magic, sorcery, and crystals. He captured people and turned them into strange monsters, combining science and sorcery in his search for eternal life. Seath eventually believed he had found immortality through a magical object called the Primordial Crystal, which kept him from dying. But his mind had broken from all experiments and betrayal. When the player meets him, Seath is no longer a wise scholar. He's a mad, blind creature surrounded by twisted creations. Seath represents the danger of obsession, especially with things like power, knowledge, and immortality. He turned against his own kind out of fear and became something far worse in the process. Even though he helped shape the world after the Age of Ancients, Seath's story is a warning that true knowledge without wisdom can lead to ruin. He may not be a god in the traditional sense, but Seath is one of the most important cosmic beings in the Dark Souls universe, feared, brilliant, and tragically lost. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like!